Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you smash that like button down below and hit the subscribe button if you are new, because as you guys know, we are currently being shadow banned. We have a negative 93% impression advantage rate according to data, so make sure you interact with this video and share this video with a friend to help us in the algorithm. It will continue to grow the audience here. So today we have to talk about a very important event that's kind of going on right now, even though it could take months to actually fully unfold. The trial surrounding the Derek Chauvin case in the role of George Floyd's death. A lot of people in the media believe Chauvin to be guilty. This caused a massive uproar in 2020. You saw what unfolded with the riots that caused hundreds of deaths and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property damage because of it. And honestly, it was all based on a total and complete lie. And nobody wants to talk about it. It's an absolute disgrace, but we're going to get into the details. We're going to get into why it's a lie. We're going to get into why Derek Chauvin should be acquitted. And it really shouldn't even be close when you look at it. If you have an actual jury, Derek Chauvin, by all measures, should get acquitted. However, that's not exactly what we are seeing right now. You have jurors that are pro-BLM that are getting admitted onto the jury. However, you have potential jurors who are anti-BLM. Potential jurors that are getting barred from serving on the Floyd trial. And it is a disgrace that it works this way. If anything, you should have an independent jury, people who just want to look at the facts, people that think with a very empirical mindset, think very analytically and critically, that would examine all of the facts at hand, but instead this is being politicized. And I feel as if it's really because they fear violence for the wrong outcome. They fear that if Derek Chauvin is actually acquitted, which by all counts he really should be acquitted, they really just fear that there will be another uproar, which it doesn't matter. Justice has to be served. If anything, people that look at the facts should be more outraged at what's going on right now in terms of the jury selection for this trial than the actual original incident that took place, which by all means, when somebody dies, it's a tragedy. Although when somebody who is a career criminal dies, it's a little bit less of a tragedy. But still, looking at all the facts, we have to examine the facts. We have to examine the evidence throughout this whole entire case, what actually took place. And we'll be able to use that to determine whether Derek Chauvin is innocent or not. Because I'm going to go through this here, and I'm going to link a video of all of the body cam footage. I will link that video below that really tells the whole story. A different story than the 2 to 5 minute iPhone video that was taken that showed the knee on the neck, and then people revolted and used it as an excuse to riot across the country. It's an absolute disgrace what the media does to people. But looking at the original case, the original scenario that took place here, George Floyd, he was approached in his vehicle after allegedly using a fake $20 bill at a convenience store. Floyd was not complying with orders. He was acting very erratic, and the police officers believed that he was on something. And it doesn't matter. Even so, Officer Lane tried to de-escalate the situation, and they were fairly friendly with him. And they were also very friendly with the woman in Floyd's vehicle, who was also black. So both of these facts right here should already squash and disprove the racial narrative. It had nothing to do with race. If you watch the whole scenario unfold before your very eyes, you would understand that. And then Floyd was escorted by Officer Lane into the police cruiser, but Floyd did not want to enter the car. He claimed that he was claustrophobic and there was a massive struggle. Again, they were not applying excessive force here, despite the fact that he was resisting arrest. And it doesn't make sense because he was arrested in 2019, had no problems entering the police car then. He had no problems being in the smaller car he was in before. So the fact that he was saying he was claustrophobic really fuels some suspicion that he was on something. And he was foaming at the mouth. The officers routinely suspected he was on drugs. And when Floyd was talking very erratically, he mentioned that earlier he had been hooping. Hooping can be slang for taking drugs up your rear end. The police later found drugs and drug paraphernalia on Floyd. Then Floyd got in the vehicle. Had Floyd actually stayed in the vehicle, he would have inadvertently saved a lot of lives. He would have saved a lot of property, a lot of people's livelihoods, and American culture and the social fabric as a whole would have been a little bit more sustained if George Floyd just happened to stay in the vehicle. But it doesn't matter. He got out of the vehicle. He said he couldn't breathe several times before he was on the ground, before he was in the position that he was in. And that already should disprove the theory that he was murdered by asphyxiation. And now Floyd was put in the position, finally, he's on the ground. Chauvin finally puts him in that position. And the officers cared about his well-being. They called the ambulance on him. They assumed that he was suffering from excited delirium. Now, this restraint technique, the knee on the neck, that's been deployed many times over the years. It's part of the Minneapolis Police Handbook. This is not meant to kill an individual. And as you look in the video, Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck was on the neck. The knee was on the neck. It was not on the neck particularly hard. And only a couple of minutes later, that is when Floyd stopped breathing. So why exactly did Floyd die? The answer is obvious. It wasn't because he had a knee on his neck for 5 minutes crushing him. And so many people ran with that story, whether it was the liberal media or the conservative media. Even myself, I tweeted about it. I said this looks bad, and I have to take responsibility for that. Because either way, we have to look at the full facts of the situation. We can't be cherry picking. We have to wait for the facts. But because the media didn't, and because they actually waited months to release the body camera footage, it cost millions of dollars in property damage, dozens of lives, and destroyed the American cultural fabric, because that's what the establishment wants to do. That's what the media wants to do. It's not like they care about George Floyd. They care about destroying America. They care about destroying our social fabric. And the autopsy report, there's two of them. One of them was conducted very discreetly by Michael Baden, who's a well-known liar. He lied about many key facts on the OJ trial, and it was not a transparent autopsy. He ruled it to be asphyxiation from sustained pressure. But the autopsy report conducted by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner found that Floyd's death was due to cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compression. Neck compression was not the main cause of the death, and because the Minneapolis Police Department had been using the restraint technique for years and years on end for thousands of suspects in the past, Derek Chauvin likely did not kill George Floyd. However, the autopsy report showed that Floyd had 11 nanograms of fentanyl in his system. Andrew Baker, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, claimed that if he was found home alone with less than a third of that, his death could have been labeled an OD. And fentanyl's top symptom is known to be respiratory arrest, and it explains why Floyd acted and died in the same manner that he did. All of this over a complete and total lie. The country burning down, the BLM nonsense, the woke capitalist takeover, all because of a complete and total lie. And this video itself is probably going to get demonetized. It's going to get age restricted because they want to suppress anything that goes against the narrative. A lot of the videos you see about the body camera footage have been age restricted. They've been taken down in many cases because they want to preserve the BLM narrative. That's all they care about. But the truth is that more whites per capita, or roughly the same amount, are killed by police per stop than black Americans per capita, despite black Americans committing more violent crime on average. And that should be enough, typically, in a rational society to completely disprove and discredit the BLM movement, but it doesn't matter. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep driving out cops of these areas, and homicides, mainly of black individuals, black people killing other black people, that's going to increase significantly. A lot of people on the left, whether they are black liberals or white liberals, are going to continue to push for these initiatives to defund the police, and it is going to drive out the police officers from these areas. And again, you will see crime increase significantly. Black on black crime mainly is going to be the crime that increases significantly. More people are going to die because people decide to be ungrateful when it comes to police officers. It's absolutely ridiculous, but the media runs with this narrative because they use it for control. And big tech and big media, these are the same people that censored allegations of electoral concerns and took the President of the United States off of every social media network because of the supposed fear of violence. But these are the same people who spread lies without evidence that this was a racially motivated attack, and it led to hundreds of deaths and hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage. Absolutely ridiculous. And it's all the media is doing. We've seen polls that show that people who have higher trust in the media actually tend to overestimate the numbers of blacks killed by police every year, but those who actually have a lower trust of the media tend to get the number right on the margin. It's quite hilarious. So in terms of Derek Chauvin, he likely should get acquitted. You look at the second and third degree murder charge. Given the technique, He was doing his job. The other officers standing by for security clearance, they were doing their job. So there's absolutely nothing here that was racially motivated. There's nothing here that shows that these officers attempted to kill George Floyd. There's nothing that actually shows that the officer did kill George Floyd. In fact, fentanyl killed George Floyd. That is what the problem is, and the media doesn't want to talk about it. And when Chauvin, if he does get acquitted, he may not because of the jury selection. And I believe that he is also under indictment for some other charges like tax fraud, which are completely unrelated to the George Floyd case. So he may go to prison for a certain amount of time. But either way, looking at the cases in a fair trial, he and the rest of the officers would get acquitted because honestly, they didn't do anything wrong. And that's really the way it is. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please smash that like button down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, especially Alt Tech. The links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.